Hey everyone, so I was thinking, I have a few build guides out already, and I plan on making more, but to switch it up a little bit, I decided to list my top 10 ability cards and my 10 worst ability cards, and explain why. There are over 30 ability cards, so I won't be tackling all of them, and I would like to add this will be from a PvE and a PvP point of view. The top cards are the ones that are usable in multiple builds for both sides of the game, and the bottom 10 are mostly cards that are either overshadowed or the condition for them aren't worth it. I'm looking at you, Horseman. So let's get down to business. First card up will be Painted Black. It gives you the ability to paint targets so you can get easy headshots. It's a great card no matter what you're doing, hunting, PvPing, sedating animals, and killing NPCs. It's good at everything. It is easily the best card for PvE and PvP. You could really do all content with just this one card and be fine. On to card number 2, Slow and Steady. Another versatile card. Is a great card for both PvE and PvP, but there's no 100% accuracy for your shots, like with Painted Black, so it's harder to use naturally. It'll slow you down, but it'll also make you an absolute tank by reducing the damage you take by around like 20%. In PvP, I use it as a counter sniper build. In PvE, you take a lot of punishment, but if everything's dead, you don't really need to be as tanky, so that's why it's under Painted Black. On to card number 3. Now this is a card that I use in every build I can in PvP, and it's Sharpshooter. While looking down your scope, it reduces damage taken and increases damage dealt. In PvE, most cases you don't need that extra damage, but the bonus damage in PvE is still nice for when you don't land headshots, and it still reduces damage taken. And if you're looking to snipe in PvP, there's no reason not to use this card. Oh, my favorite. Card number 4, Slippery Bastard. Makes it so you can dodge bullets from non-scoped weapons and gives you the ability to fight people at all ranges. Despite how amazing I think this card is in PvP, your Deadeye drains way too fast for it to be really good in PvE. It's usable, but you'd be much better off using one of the other 2 Deadeye cards from higher up on the list. I'm biased, but in PvP I love this card. It counters auto aim and counters Painted Black, and if you aren't new here, you know it's my favorite. Alright. Card number 5, Fool Me Once. Stacking damage reduction on hits, but if you haven't been hit in the last 10 seconds, you lose that damage reduction. It's a great card in PvP when used with Painted Black and Slow and Steady builds. For PvP, it's not my first pick, but you would never be in the wrong using it. You'd be fine using this one if you didn't want to buy other cards or just didn't want to change cards after PvP. It's just really likely that the damage reduction would fall off in PvE. Card number 6, Never Without One. Some people don't value this card highly. I am not one of those people. It protects you from headshots on the top part of your head and gives you damage reduction while wearing a hat. Downside, you take more damage when you lose your hat. In PvP, I don't make builds without it though. In PvE, you don't need headshot protection, so you're better off using card 7, which is Iron Lung. Iron Lung, it's a workhorse card in PvE and in PvP, providing damage reduction and stamina regen. It's a simple, effective, staple card. But the only time I would use it in PvP is when I don't want to wear a hat. It's a great card in all situations though. So in terms of viability, card 8 and card 9 are very close and they really fill the same role. Card 8 will be Winning Streak. It's a stacking damage increase on consecutive hits. The issue with it is you're going to lose damage whenever you miss a shot. I play on free aim, so I'm going to miss shots, obviously. So if you don't mind that negative, it's a good card. And card 9 will be Gunslinger's Choice. It provides accuracy and damage increase when dual wielding sidearms. I say it shares the same role because the only time you would think of running Winning Streak is probably with sidearms. And card 10 will be Strange Medicine. It's very strong in any build that doesn't use tonics, PvE and PvP. This card provides you with health restore based off the damage you deal, with headshots returning around 20% of your max health. It will be higher on the list, but it doesn't do anything if your bars are fortified. Though it does get bonus points for being a nice card to run in Fool's Gold since you can't drink tonics while you're in the suit of armor. The honorable mention for the top 10 cards would be Eye for an Eye. Honestly, everything you say about Strange Medicine can be said about Eye for an Eye and Restoring Deadeye. It's a very strong card with Painted Black builds, but it doesn't feel as impactful during Fool's Gold, so it loses a spot to Strange Medicine. Onto the 10 worst ability cards, which I could easily call the don't bother cards. So like I was saying earlier, either these cards have requirements for them to be used which aren't worth it, or there's a card that does the job better. First card on the worst 10 list, Short Game. Even with the shotgun, in most cases, it's a kill or it's not. Short Game doesn't really change that. A lot of times you would just stagger them and get an additional shot off anyways, which would probably just finish them off. It's just way too limiting of a card. Card number 2, there's Horseman. There's other cards that provide damage that don't require you to be on a horse. Horses die, run away, and kick you off. All things that make this card troublesome and useless. I'd much rather run Peak Condition over this card all day, every day. Card number 3, Necessity Breeze. The lower you are on health, the more damage you deal. On paper, it might sound like a decent idea, but why risk it? In PvP, where majority of the time you go from 4 to 5 bars to dead in a few shots, you shouldn't be banking on dealing more damage while on low health. And in PvE, you should be using cards that restore health, defeating the purpose of this card altogether. For the 4th card, Friends for Life. Another useless horse card. While mounted, you and your horse take less damage. The other horses can headshot, I'll be honest. I purposely target horses in fights. You should too. This card is overshadowed by pretty much every defensive card on the top 10 list. If you're that worried about your horse dying, just use Horse Tonics. It's a prime example of a terrible card. And for the 5th card, it'll be Take the Pain Away. Reviving a player grants you and the target a defense boost for 8 seconds. Alright, so up front, I forgot this was even a card. 8 seconds is way too short and it's just not practical. Okay, so let's say you're reviving someone, right? You're already safe, you're usually behind cover, or everything around you is already dead. So you're making the card useless already. But on to the next card, Live for the Fight. You regenerate Deadeye slowly over time. And slowly is an understatement. This rate is terribly slow. It'll never be fast enough for you to use in combat, and it's overshadowed by Eye for an Eye and Tonics. Maybe if you knew you were going AFK and really wanted to make use of that time, but that's just overkill at that point. Oh, look, another card that's overshadowed by Eye for an Eye. And here we are, for the 7th card on the Don't Bother list, we got Gift of Focus. Items and abilities restored more Deadeye. In theory, you would think this is a good card, but Eye for an Eye already does this job, and stacking this and Eye for an Eye means you'd be missing out on another card that would come from the top 10 list, so that's why it's pointless. You have to keep in mind you only have 4 cards, roll really 3 with Deadeye cards. Card 8, To Fight Another Day. Take less damage while sprinting. Well, why don't I just use a card to take less damage in more scenarios than when sprinting? Next card. Card number 9, Come Back Stronger. Shortens the delay between taking damage and starting to regen health. Multiple things overshadow this. Strange Medicine and Tonics, maybe even Cold Blooded. But that card is kind of bad too. And for my pick for worst card in the game, card 10, Hunker Down. Grants damage reduction while behind cover. So let me get this straight. So they made a card to decrease the damage you take while in a situation where you are less likely to take damage. Sounds redundant, right? It is. Just run Iron Lung. Last but not least was Hunker Down. So, Hangman. Now for the memes, this card is good. But if you lasso a player, you can easily hogtie them and just kill them. And not waste a card slot, right? But shout out to the people who left this card at level 1 just to kill people slower when they do use this. And that's it for ability cards. Tell me what you guys think of it in the comments section, or even tell me how you'd rank the cards instead. And if you made it this far, thank you. If you found this information helpful, do me a favor, take a moment, comment, like, and subscribe. I also go live on Twitch 3 times a week. The info for that will be in the description. See you guys later. Peace.